All right, so for our cardiorespiratory fitness assessment, we're going to use a Submax treadmill protocol called the Bruce protocol. So Submax meaning that we keep their heart rate below 85% of what their maximal heart rate is. For this, we will calculate their estimated max heart rate using the 220 minus your age method, and then take 85% of that to calculate what our cutoff is. So the Bruce protocol is a graded protocol that we use for the treadmill. What that means is that every 3 minutes we will be increasing both the incline and the speed on the treadmill until we reach her estimated 85% heart rate. So a couple of key things that we want to make sure is that we keep our clients safe. We want to give them all of the safety protocol up front. So for example, you want to make sure that they know that if they feel any leg pain, any shortness of breath, any heart palpitations, that we can stop the test anytime. We don't have to go to that 85% of their max heart rate. So in addition to the signs and symptoms you want to give them for stopping the test, you also want to give them safety protocol for getting on and off the treadmill. So with that, you're going to actually show them how to step on and off the treadmill. You want to have them straddle the treadmill when they first get on. You're going to start the treadmill and then have them feel with their foot what that feels like before they actually step into the treadmill. You want to do that as quickly as possible so that you can make sure that you're staying on time and being able to change the speed and incline with each 3 minutes. When they get off the treadmill, you want to hold their hand if they need it and help them step back down. At the end of the test, you are going to make sure to slow the treadmill all the way back down to 0 before they step off so that they can get their bearings, and make sure that they hang onto the handrails, straddle the treadmill first, and then of course you're going to help them back down onto the floor. All right, Hannah, our next assessment is going to be our cardiorespiratory fitness assessment. This is going to be done on the treadmill, and we do this in order to get a current snapshot of what your fitness level is. We can use that to as a baseline to help with your program design going forward. So the first thing that we're going to do is get you set up with a heart rate monitor. And this is going to be a little bit cold when we put this on because we do have to add the water in order to make sure that we are picking up the signal. And then if you're comfortable, I'm going to have you place that just under your rib cage. All right, Hannah. So before we get you on there, we want to make sure we cover a couple of safety options. As you get on and off, I will help you on and off the treadmill. I may show you how to get on and off as well to make sure that you are safe. If you feel any shortness of breath, any pain or cramping in the legs, lightheadedness, let me know. We can stop the test right away. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to take you up to 85% of your predicted max heart rate. Okay. So as you get on here, you're going to step on and then you're going to straddle the treadmill. I'm going to start the treadmill with the incline that's we're going to use for the first stage. I'd like you to use your foot to feel your way onto the treadmill, and then when you're comfortable, you'll step in and go ahead and start to move. And when you are done, we're going to slow the treadmill all the way down. You'll straddle the treadmill again, and then grab the handrails. As you are ready, you'll turn around, and again, I'll help you get back off the treadmill. All right, so let's go ahead and get you set up there. Thank you. You're going to straddle the treadmill for me. So when you're ready, go ahead and step in. Perfect. And how you feel? Feel good? Perfect. So as they're walking on the treadmill, a couple of things you're going to be doing is watching her heart rate, of course, watching her stride, and then watching her breathing and whether or not she's perspiring. These will all be indicators of how hard she's working. The other thing that we'll do is explain RPE to them, so rate of perceived exertion. At the end of each stage, you're going to want to ask them on a scale of 1 to 10 how they're feeling, and use that kind of as an indicator as you go through, again, to see how hard they're working during their test. So you want to make sure you do have your notepad and your pen so you can write down each minute what her heart rate is and what her RP is as you guys get going. But you also want to make sure you have a table or something close by that you can place that on so you're not holding that. Just in case she does happen to stumble or fall and you have to catch her or catch your client, you're not stabbing them with the pen or hitting them with the clipboard. You want to make sure that you're paying attention closely to the clock. We are going to change at the end of 3 minutes. So your first minute is 0 to 1, second minute 1 to 2, third minute 2 to 3. So at 2:59, you have to be changing both the speed and the incline up to the next stage. Once the client reaches their 85% max heart rate, you're going to slow the treadmill down either to 2 to 3 miles per hour, depending on the client and their leg length, but you're going to completely take the incline off of the treadmill. That way they're walking flat. You're going to give them anywhere up to five minutes to cool down, depending on how quickly their heart rate recovers. So you're going to want to keep track of that as well, just like you did with their heart rate as you were working through the test. So you can see that we marked their heart rate as they were recovering and what the RPE was during that time. During the test, of course, each minute you are going to check their heart rate. Again, that first section you are going to talk to them about RPE. You don't necessarily want to ask them every minute because it's going to seem redundant. That first section, that first 3 minutes, isn't going to be very strenuous. They're going to tell you one or two, maybe start to eventually just make up numbers because they feel like they should give you a different answer, but that first section is going to be more for them to get settled in and just kind of get into a rhythm of walking on the treadmill with the incline. Once the test is done, again, a reminder, you do want to slow the treadmill all the way down to 0 as they are walking on it, and then of course have them grab the handle, straddle the side, and then help them back off of the treadmill. While they're on there and as you're asking RPE throughout this, it is okay to ask them yes or no questions, but you want to try to keep them from talking because having them talk is going to increase their heart rate as they're walking on the treadmill, and you want to try to keep the test pretty accurate with being able to log their heart rate at the end of each minute, and of course logging their RPE at the end of each minute. So when you stop the test, it's always a good idea to stop at a 15-second increment. So here we stopped at 10:45. So even though she went over her predicted 85%, it's up to 167 rather than 162, you want to try to stop at a 15-second interval, which is just going to make the math on this a little bit easier in trying to estimate what her actual VO2 is. Another good idea is once you see that number come up, so once she hits 162, give them 15 to 20 seconds to level off. A lot of times when you increase to a new stage, there might be a spike in their heart rate, so you want to give them a chance to level off and see if that stays the same or if maybe it goes back down a couple beats before you pull them off the treadmill. And then again, one last reminder, like we discussed before, the test is, so where it says minute 1, minute 2, minute 3, that's actually going to be, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. So at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, or at the end of the stage at 5 minutes and 50 seconds, you want to be ready to change both the incline and the speed. So you have to be ready to be on top of that and get moving pretty quickly, so that way your numbers are accurate as far as how long they are actually spending in each stage. We'll show you later how to do some of the math on this, but down here you can see we've done the math, extrapolated out what her predicted max time would have been had she been able to stay on there up to 100% of her max, and estimated her VO2. We do have a cheat sheet here that we use that you'll eventually get to use when you have your clients. And again, we just looked up what her estimated max would have been. So a 43.43 based on what we estimated her max time was going to be at 12 minutes and 13 seconds.